have something I need to pick up at Hobby Lobby real quick. I need to get another canvas. Not too bad, not too bad. I am really procrastinating a commission that I need to be working on. I don't have a deadline on it exactly, so I'm gonna be doing that next week. And I have an idea of something cool in my head that I just sort of have to get out. And sometimes you just have to like put your other stuff on hold and just get out what's in your head. So I recommend following those instincts and getting it out of your head so that you can at least get the momentum going, and then all that procrastination that you had will go away because you have the momentum and you can just move into the thing that you've been avoiding. It's my theory. They're so friendly in Hobby Lobby. All right, canvases, canvases, canvases. Bingo. I'm trying to decide. I think that's the size I want to get. Let's go ahead and go check out. Success. All right, I'm really glad they had my size. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get started on it today. I might only be able to get my reference photo and take outlines, but we shall see. This is the shot that I was talking about getting. All right. Now I am just editing this so I can get some decent outlines. Now for my favorite part. I guess my favorite part is just making a mess. This is a little bit too big for my easel, but that's okay. Now to get some outlines down. I always try to limit myself to 30 minutes just to get some loose outlines, and I always end up going over, but I will show you what I have. All right, so now I'm just gonna go outside and spray this. And it's not perfect, but it's enough outlines to get started. Gotta get now let's go on a journey outside. Now we're just gonna let that dry and we will be out to get you in a little bit. All right, let's take it inside. One of the reasons I like this 24 by 30 size, it fits perfectly on my drawing table. That makes it super convenient. As I was going through these filters, I came across this one, and I actually think I'm gonna paint it this way. We'll see how it goes. And now I'm gonna just have a little bit of fun with the underpainting. Never underestimate how much magenta you are gonna use. It's much easier to mix colors with magenta than red. Like your traditional yellow, blue, red that they tell you to mix with, a lot easier to mix with magenta, cyan, and yellow, kind of like your printer. A little of this, a little bit of that. I'm gonna do the warm background colors first. I get to use some teal. I don't get to use that very often. I like to pick out the colors that I'm gonna use ahead of time, just so I'm not floundering around looking for something in the middle of working. I always add some gold in my painting. It doesn't matter. Even if it gets covered up, don't care. It gets added. Got some white and black. All right, get the right tools. Need some water. One nice thing I like about my studio is it does look into my kitchen, and my kitchen sink is right there. Don't mind my cutting board and my dirty sink. So I can get a fresh glass of water very quickly. I got the colors picked out. I'm gonna use a fan brush. I should probably use a fatter fan brush than that. And I don't know, what other goodies? I am gonna need good old H2O. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to know how to build out a palette. It's pretty easy. There we go. Looking for that one. These are gonna be some pretty colors. All right, let's get started. Use the H2O. I need some paper towels. I wonder how long it's gonna take for that plant to start annoying me. I think I might turn this around. I have a reference photo and a color story, and then the rest I figure out along the way. This stuff is also really good to extend your colors and makes your high flows last a long time. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of gold in there. I don't use the extender that much in the metallics, but something I do like is putting it in the water and letting it break apart. Oh, that's copper. That's probably why I'm having problems. And this is how the magic happens. This is where I keep my heat gun. Whenever I feel like I'm adding too much water, I like to plug this in and just move some stuff around. I like to move pretty quickly through this part because a lot of this is gonna be covered up, so I try not to get too invested, but I already do like a lot of what's happening because this is definitely gonna be the focal point, and since I already know that, it kind of makes everything else easier. I just have to make sure not to make everything else too, like, jazzy. Now for a little bit more gold. In a perfect world, I would spend 30 minutes on my reference photo, 30 minutes on my outline, and 30 minutes on this fun underpainting. But it never happens that way. One thing I really like high flows is I feel like I don't waste as much paint. I don't know if that's a concern of you guys. I really, really don't like wasting paint. It's always been a hang up for me. All right, this is how much I've got going on. At this point, I'm starting to get tired, and I can feel myself getting tired, and I'm just wanting to get as much as I possibly can get done before my kids wake up. So it's kind of the mindset that I have right now. Well, that's a good a stopping point as any. I'm kind of getting tired of making mistakes, so. This piece is now dry. I am going to pre-mix some colors for some palette knife work and get this bad boy up on the easel. Just to give you a heads up, this is what I'm going to be using, but I don't like using this giant tub all the time. I actually just refilled my jar that I keep it in, and I'm going to pre-mix all my colors in my Stay Wet palette. I just put some water at the bottom. I rinsed all this off, and I'm going to fill it back up with all the colors that I want to use. This thing is awesome. I highly recommend it because you can keep acrylic paint wet as long as you need. I'll go ahead and start with the lightest ones. What's great about doing it this way is you save so much money on paint because really you're painting with the medium and you really don't lose any pigmentation. This is actually the hardest color to mix because it is the same color as the medium, but this indeed dries clear, so it's going to show the pigment. And I'd say you can go up to 75% medium and still get the richness of color from these fluid acrylics. I highly recommend them. Already making a huge mess. I feel like painting is mostly setting up and cleaning up, but now that I have all of my colors, I'm going to use the Stay Wet palette to keep them wet, but I'm still going to use my large glass palette to be able to mix on. I have tried just mixing the colors on the Stay Wet palette as I've worked before, but I find it just gets way too messy in there. I don't like hitting the edge with my hand as I'm going to get paint. So I use here, go here, and then get to the painting. We're gonna put this bad boy back up. I might have to push it back towards the wall a little bit. Get this guy back. Put up here. This is literally the largest canvas that I can put on this right here. And it also doesn't like to stay up all the way. So I'm gonna set this down right here. And yes, you are now inside my plant. Make that a little bit more secure. I already have paint like all over my fingers. It's gross. I don't know what I do with my little trash can. I'm gonna have to find a new place for this plant. I love it right here, but it's definitely in the way. Yay, I found my little trash can. So over here. Okay, now that I have everything set up just the way I want it, I probably won't even have that much time to paint. So this may be a late night, early morning painting in case you see the window go dark. I'm really excited to get some palette knife work done on this, and I hope you enjoy the process. Not even 2 minutes into painting did baby girl wake up. All right, baby's crying. Gotta put the lid on the palette. Never know when the baby's gonna cry. By the way, this is the best way to clean a palette. Spray on some alcohol, get yourself a razor blade, and then know where you put it. It's in here, it's in here, it's in here. This is a really cheap one. I'll put a link in the description. And that is all coming up now. It's day 3. Hopefully I can finish this up today. And now I just have to get into my paint shirt. I always wanted to try that. So I thought I might share a little bit more of the inspiration and story behind this painting. Why is it so hard to focus as an artist with countless projects, internal and external deadlines, and the pressure to create something masterful? The artistic process can feel overwhelming, to say the least. While the freedom to choose our next step sounds ideal, it can often paralyze us instead of freeing us. It might seem like other artists always know exactly what to do and are content with their results. But the reality is that as artists, we're often driven by the need to bring one idea to life, putting everything else on hold, like I'm doing now. The real challenge is just finding the balance between creative focus and the demands of life. Recently, I found myself facing this exact dilemma, and it led me to procrastination. So that's why this week, deciding that this project is important for me to pursue is why I'm calling this painting Focus. It's a rare self-portrait. I don't do many of them. And it's to remind myself what can be accomplished when we truly focus. I'm seriously the messiest painter alive. Let's talk about prioritizing for a minute, because we all know that prioritizing projects as an artist can be tricky. It requires being present while also channeling your creativity in a focused way. I'm reminded of the quote, "I only write when inspiration strikes." Fortunately, it strikes every morning at 9 o'clock sharp. The idea is to get into the studio and work, even if it's just choosing between 2 projects. The act of showing up is the progress in itself. This is probably close to my stopping point for today. I got most of the body and even the camera bag done. I'm pretty happy with that. Although I think this needs a little bit. Something right there. Probably this lighter color actually. There. That makes more sense. My plan is to make this part right here the most realistic looking. Everything else around it is kind of messy, and that is my plan as of right now. I have decided to move this to the floor. My carpet is already really stained anyway, so I don't think it's gonna matter, but I want to get a lot of detail in this area. That's like the focal point of the painting, so I am going to attempt to get a little bit closer and get some detail in there and still make it look cohesive. That's my goal anyway. In the past, my focus was solely on my family's needs, and I didn't really make anything for myself a priority. I know you moms can relate. Since I'm a homeschooling stay-at-home mom, I'm fortunate to have flexibility to create. I can find time in the early mornings, nap times, or after my kids are in bed, but still, this freedom has its challenges, especially when deciding how to use those quiet moments. Do I work on several projects at once or finish one before moving on to the next? Finding the right balance has required a lot of trial and error, particularly since family life is just a juggling act of distractions. But those distractions have also become an essential part of my process. Without my family to care for, inspire, or guide, I wouldn't have the same drive to chase my dreams. The challenge of balancing life with art gives me purpose, and I want to show my kids that they can pursue their goals and be successful too. Focus is key, not for just art, but for anything anyone aims to achieve. My focus now is to stop overthinking and concentrate on action. Over the past year, my artistic goals have evolved dramatically, but the most challenging part of it all has been sharing my journey with others. And that's one of the big reasons I'm on YouTube. And it wouldn't feel genuine to hide the struggles I face: perfectionism, procrastination, lack of focus. I know these are all common challenges for many artists, and by talking about them, I hope others feel less alone in their own artistic journeys. And I hope my experience inspires you to focus on what matters to you on your creative path. So I just have to share this because literally the messiest. After I let the painting sit for a day, I made a few little minor tweaks here and there, nothing really major. I kind of tweaked some things on the bag, and I am calling this done. Now I just need to sign it, and I have a pretty neat idea. You can see I have a lot of those very, very vibrant colors that I mixed. I'm actually thinking about recreating the first painting that I did last year. My grandmother sweetly had the idea to commission a painting from me before I even owned any paint so that I could buy paint. And I used that paint to paint my very first oil painting. And it was of a bison that I took the photo of myself at the Wichita Wildlife Refuge, where there's lots of longhorn bison, lots of wildlife that I can take my own reference photos for. And I did it with very vibrant psychedelic colors, kind of like this one here. I am going to do a then and now video to show the progress that I've done in 1 year, and also how I really have learned a lot of skills and techniques from not only the mastery program that I took, from the mentor that I sought out, the contemporary artist that I talked to for advice, and just continuing to push myself and learn and grow. So I hope you liked this video, and I am going to post that video next week. Wish me luck. Now for the final touch. All right, this painting is officially done. See you in the next one.